This is the Lockpicker 1969, and welcome to my channel, and welcome to the next episode of Interview with a Lockpicker. Today's guest is Vinsanity. Say hi.
Hello, it's good to be here.
So, whereabouts are you from?
I live in Oregon in the USA.
Okay. So, how and when did you get into locksport?
So my lock sport comes in two major phases. Um, the actual lock sport, but then the leading up is a pretty long period of time. As a kid, I really liked locks. I can't say exactly why. They just seemed like an interesting puzzle to play with, and so I used to collect the ones that I could find, and I recently actually stumbled on my original collection, and I have a whole bunch of old lever locks and warded locks that I had collected just because they were fun.
Cool.
Uh, Fast forward till maybe 7 years ago, I stumbled on uh, lock what is it, lockpicking lawyers webpage or videos like many
Channel.
have,
Yep.
you know, and he sort of introduced me to the idea that actually the the notion that they are a puzzle that I had already had is very true, and we can intentionally break them. So that seemed very interesting to me. Interesting enough that I was scared that if I went down that route, it would be a deep, deep rabbit hole and a fun rabbit hole, but one that I would invest a ton of time in. And so
Mm-hmm.
I deliberately avoided going down that rabbit hole until this past February
Okay.
when I got my first set of picks in that. So you
So,
can either say February or it was always meant to be that I would be a lock sport.
so how did you come across your first set of picks?
So having avoided it for years, uh, my wife and I periodically throw themed parties, and she decided that a spy versus spy party would be fun.
Cool.
And at our parties, as part of the theme, we usually include some activities that go with it for people to do. So she said, "Why don't we lock the closet door with an exterior lock and have people pick their way into the closet?" And so I should go get some cheap lock picks because they seem easy enough to come by. So I thought about it and went, "Oh, well then, this could be opportunity knocking." and so and so I because at that point in time my only uh, my only experience with lockpicking was through Lockpicking Lawyers channel. I was like, oh well, in that case, why don't I go to Covert Instruments and buy their basic introductory set? So I got the Genesis kit for that party.
Okay. Not a bad one to start out with, though.
It's not. I quickly learned that while it gets the job done, there once you get into the community, you discover all of the smaller producers of lockpicks that are so much nicer. And so I am in love with my Jimmy Long picks, and I hear that Moki picks are also amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And so while it was a good place to start, I quickly moved on from it and don't really. I would recommend Jimmy Long over a Genesis kit any day.
Yeah, definitely love my Jimmy Longs, and I can speak very highly of the Moki picks. I actually love them. Haven't had them long, but I've gotten into locks that have just stumped me for a while, and was able to make short work of them with those. So can't say enough.
I recently got his Moki picks, and I'm super excited to use them because I've been picking all my high pin count picks old school style with a pair of flags and a hook, and so I'm excited to play with these Mookie picks, but I haven't gotten the chance yet.
Oh, yep, definitely. Did you pick up handles with them?
Yes.
There you go. Okay. Yeah, yeah. I personally think you're probably going to love them. If you love Jimmy Longs, you're going to like these too. So,
Sweet.
so you got into it in February of this year, and already went through and became a black belt in like what, 3 months?
That is true.
So
It was
tell us
three
about
three months
that.
and change.
Tell us about that.
Yeah. So I have some friends that say when something gets my interest that I dive in head first, and I won't say he's wrong.
Yeah.
I happen to have more time on my hands professionally during the Q2 timeframe of this year. So I started by playing with the stuff that I had in the house. I also tend to do a lot of housework, which means I've replaced the locks on my house, having never thought of taking them apart, just strictly the install and replace. But that meant that I had a bunch of old quickset locks and a bunch of slog locks and
Mm-hmm.
some old padlocks that are just sort of sitting around. And so once I had my Genesis kit in hand, I started picking those and found, ooh, this is exciting. And then that was when I discovered the Reddit, and quickly from there, I discovered the Bazaar over in the Discord and got myself uh, an American Lock 1100, and that actually was one of the couple of game changers for me for lock picking, because it was the precision on it was so much higher, and it was the first thing at the time. I didn't even know what progressive pinning was, so that was the beginning of my progressive pinning, of working through it like an actual puzzle and making slow progress,
Mm-hmm.
and then getting it open. And it was fun to pick the things in the house and exciting, but for some reason that one really would felt like a major accomplishment.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't realize at the time that compared to where the Lux I would be working on in a few months, it's not that hard. But it was super interesting. It was like the lock was talking to me, whereas the lower locks that are all spongy and much more interesting to find out, oh, well, the lock speaks, so all you have to do is listen, and then you can get them open. And so,
Yeah. A lock
yeah, that
whisperer.
was exactly. Uh, and then after that, I discovered dimple locks shortly after, and those were I found them super fun, and I got myself a set of the multi picks. I
Mm-hmm.
do enough work with tools that I highly respect a quality tool over sort of hacking something together. So I
Mm-hmm.
invested in those, and they served me quite well, because that took me down the MTL path, and I went through several multi locks, and someone said you should try a D9. I was like, a D9. That sounds interesting. And I looked at it and I went, it has such a cute little non-intrusive key. It's so short and cute. Give me that. So that was the beginning of high pin count. So I did the D9. I loved it. And then Red hooked me up with a V18. And I eventually stumbled on a West 917. And that got me to black belt locks. Then after that, I discovered that the need to do epic quests. So I started looking at them and went, ooh, there's safe cracking information around here. Now that sounds cool.
Yep.
All right. So I got myself a SNG 6370. Might have gotten that number right. Whatever the basic group 2 was. And I had never I'd heard of impressioning sort of in passing, but once I poked at it a little bit, that one also sounded very interesting. The idea of making a key from scratch without taking the part of lock, or the
With
lock apart or anything like that. That
without
was also super
yeah,
exciting.
without having the original key.
Exactly. I was
Just
like, oh, that is so cool. So I want to know
yep.
how to do that too.
Yep. Okay. So I wanted to turn back just a moment though. During your journey, so you started out listening to LPL, and that kind of got your interest peaked a bit. But who else would you say in your journey was influential in helping you learn and progress?
Yeah, LPL was a fun channel for seeing that locks can be picked and kind of spurring up inspiration and interest. But it and he has his inside perspective group of videos, but outside of the short set of inside perspective videos, they're not as great at teaching you how to pick locks as much as they are about getting you excited about it. So I quickly found that his videos were not going to help me open particular locks,
Mm-hmm.
but Bosnian Bill and Lock Noob, and then later on Samurai and Dependent Quarter, they would their videos were more educational and really helped me work through particular lock designs and
Mm-hmm.
how to uh, how to get them open.
Okay. So What so you did the key impressioning and you did the safe cracking or decoding for 2 quests. Are you looking forward to doing any other quests next?
Yeah, I think I'm going to continue. So the safe cracking one was interesting enough that I think I want to take that to a tier 3 and go
Hmm.
find a safe cracking that has countermeasures in it for manipulation. And the when I did uh, my challenge lock, I was expecting it to be kind of boring and tedious, but it actually turned out to be super fun.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I might go back at some point in the future and make some more challenge locks. And it doesn't actually take that many of them for it to qualify as a quest. So I think I'll probably do one of those in the future as well.
Okay. How many does it take?
I don't remember. It's only like 4 or 5, and
Really?
I while making mine, I came up with at least a dozen crazy ideas that I did not execute on. So I I feel like that should be no problem to do. Just it'll take time.
Now, do they base it on points in the changes that are made, or do they base it on the difficulty or number of pins, or how do they
Which which, which part are you asking
the
about?
for the quest for the challenge lock quest?
Oh, um, don't remember
Okay.
the so eh, I know that for the blue belt it required a certain number of changes
Yeah. Yep.
for it to qualify, but I don't remember in the we'll call it in the Dan point system with the tiers. I don't remember offhand how they define this is enough for tier 2. I don't remember if it was just a number of locks or they have to be progressively more complicated.
Okay. So you started out your YouTube channel the same way a lot of people start out their channels, but you had your thoughts and feelings about doing a channel. Can you share that a little bit?
Yeah, the for me my channel, so I created it because I needed to make videos of the locks I was picking for the belt system.
Yep.
And I did not expect anybody else to really be watching them, and paid no attention to how many subscribers, if anything, or any that I had. But one of the things that I really like about this community is the people in it and their willingness to help and their welcoming. And I'm kind of looking constantly for a way to give back to that community that embraced me so quickly. And since I looked through so many videos teaching about how to do the different uh, picking different locks, I kind of decided, I don't really have an interest in making a big channel that cranks out content constantly. But if I need to make a video of me picking a particular lock, and I learned a bunch of things from watching 15 other videos and then tinkering it and coming up with my own style, all I got to do is just add that information into my video, and now I can make a intersection of Dan and educational video to give back in the same way that was given to me.
Mm-hmm.
So I've slowly over the last several videos that I've made, I've been changing the format to be both yes, I'm picking it and gutting it, but I'm also telling you this is how I'm picking
Yeah.
it and why, and alternatives that didn't work for me, and those sorts of things. And so maybe it'll become useful to others, maybe not, but I hope I can give back some.
Okay. I wanted to ask real quick, what do you do for a living?
Uh, so I work for a semiconductor company doing long-term research in security, which
Okay.
makes locks sort of line up any sort of physical security or digital security, all scratches the itch.
There you go. All right. So I wanted to go back to the whole challenge locks thing. So you had to do one for Blue Belt, and do you intend on coming back around to making any more challenge locks? Because you mentioned about enjoying making the pins. So
I did, and I do. I'm not sure when, primarily because I'm I'm sitting on a whole stack of black locks that I really want to open up, and
Mm,
also the that my interest in the next level of safe cracking. But I do plan on making more challenge locks. I just don't know when I'll get around to it.
okay.
Uh, but yeah, between the shaping the pins, but then I'm also I want to see whether or not I've got the tools in the garage to do some more advanced modifications like core splitting and other kind of wackiness, adding extra pins from directions that weren't in the original lock. I want to get kind of crazy,
Okay.
so
Do you,
we'll see if I can.
do you enjoy picking challenge locks?
So I have not actually picked a challenge lock at this point.
Uh-oh.
When I made my own challenge lock, I outdid myself because at the time I was trying to become a blue belt, and between the gnarly 7 pins that I put in it and the uh, modifications to the core and to the Bible, it it was more than I could pick. So I haven't dabbled much in the space of receiving challenge locks, but I expect that when I make my new one, I'll get into the exchanging of of challenge locks and get more into picking them.
Okay. So I noticed on your channel that there's quite a bit on there on Jeeps as well as scuba diving. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, my channel, I've obviously had a Gmail account for forever. One of my other hobbies is taking my truck off road, and we would go off road. We need some way to share videos with each other. So while I never treated my YouTube account like a channel, it is where we sort of uploaded a bunch of those videos. So
Sure.
if you look past my locks, you'll find a couple of dozen uh, videos of us. I have a 2005 Jeep Wrangler that basically replaced the everything south of the frame. I put 1-ton truck axles that I modified both the axle and the suspension system that I designed to attach it to the Jeep, and now I have 40-inch tires, and we go out rock crawling and trying to get it as close to broken as possible without breaking it too often. And then my other hobby of choice is scuba diving. So
So
that sorry.
I noticed you did a picking video underwater when you were scuba diving. Was that inspired by Panda Frog or what?
It, it was it was indirectly by Panda Frog. I did the blue whale challenge recently,
Yep.
which was and in my blue whale video, in my intro as I was just rambling while setting up the locks, I mentioned that I couldn't turn down a lock picking challenge named after a whale because I'm a scuba diver. And then someone responded saying, "You need to check out Panda Frog." And I was like, "Oh, that's interesting." And so then I hunted that down and went, "Min, this is amazing."
Yep.
So I similar to Panda Frog, I live in a cold water diving area, but while he is able to do dry suit diving with dry gloves on and pick a lock, I wasn't even going to try that for my first one.
Mm,
You have so little dexterity in those dry suit gloves. So I happen to be making a trip to Florida in a couple of weeks. So while I was down there, I picked I think it was a Master Lock 140 during my safety stop at about 20 feet.
yeah, he did some out of the package pick if I recall. So that was that actually showed up on the Locky Awards. So for
Was that
last for
the was that the recent one where he actually
yeah.
picked and gutted an American lock?
Oh, I don't know about the gutting part. I remember seeing him open a package and he picked the lock. I don't remember the gutting part of it, but
Oh, he so recently he also uh, the day that I posted my video and sent it to him, he sent me back a link that he had just posted, which was underwater in dry gloves. He picked and gutted an American 1100.
So it would seem you guys have quite
That
a
was
bit in
impressive.
common. So do you keep in touch now?
We chat every once in a while on his. I'm on his Discord.
Okay. All right. Last question before we wrap up. What would you say your latest accomplishments have been?
Latest accomplishments.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I've only been a black belt for a few weeks, so that's pretty significant.
And
That one
the pressure's on now.
probably counts. Yeah, that is. I've been distracted from lockpicking since then by a whole bunch of non-pick lockpicking things catching up with me. So the
I hear that.
yeah, actually I take it back. I did pick I want to do a twin star. I want to open a twin star lock, but I haven't been able to find one. But I found a Saturn. So I was playing with a Amex 10 Saturn with shark fins, and or no, sorry, I picked a Domex and with shark fins and got a hold of a Saturn that is still sitting on my desk that I want to now get into now. So I guess the most recent thing that I've picked after my West 917 and V18 to get the black belt would be that brown lock, and then I'm working on the red one.
Okay. All right. Is there anything you'd like to say to our audience before we wrap up?
Just thanks for having me on.
Mm-hmm.
And love the locksmith community or the lock sports community and how welcoming it is. And I'm excited to give back to that community the same way it gave to me. And
Definitely.
hopefully I'll get to know more of you guys through your interviews with Lockpicker 1969.
All right. I wanted to make mention before we sign off. Well, first and foremost, I enjoyed our conversation that we had in the pre-interview. It was broken up, but we still kind of just picked up right where we left off, and I really appreciated your doing that. So, thank you for that. I wanted to make mention to our audience that all of the interviews, both the interview with the Lockpicker series and the interview series I'm doing for Challenge Lock Workshop and any other ones I start picking up, which I may do for the Locksport 3D printing series as well, they all have a podcast that's on YouTube that you can access the interviews on. So definitely, if you're trying to catch up, use the podcast if you'd like. That's a nice, easy way to get to them. So, all right. Well, with that, we'll wrap this one up. Thank you again. It's been a fun conversation and getting to know you. If you are a subscriber, thank you. If you are not yet a subscriber, please hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications and all, and hit like on the video. And thank you for listening.